Hi to everyone out there, everyone who's listening to this. Before we begin anything on the parsha, any idea that we'll talk about together, um, just to thank Rav Judah on behalf of Rav Dan and myself for opening up this thing on the Project Recharge blog that we started. We just want to really thank Rav Judah for making it happen, and really the shir was just amazing, and everyone who spoke about it just had only had amazing things to say about it, and we just can't thank you enough. And Dan, we managed to miss you out here, and I'm sure you miss us too. And like Judah said last week, it's push weird speaking to a computer, especially in Kirshner's house. But we'd also like to thank Kirshner, obviously, for keeping the blog the way it is and doing such an amazing job, and for opening his house for this at 11:30 at night. Thank you. So just a quick idea that hopefully we'll share together and we'll grow from in some way or another. So Rav Pam has, and we learned the piece together, but it would just be really weird to learn a piece into the computer, especially because nobody else has it. So if anybody wants to look at it, the piece is called Chesed Lavram in Atar Melech by Rav Pam. Zatzal. Rav Pam talks about, obviously everybody knows that Avram Avinu was Ish Chesed, and Avram Avinu was the father of Gemilas Chasadim. And I remember when I was in yeshiva and doing certain different things at different points in my life, Hask and other things, and always finding it difficult to find a balance between doing chesed and learning, and when am I supposed to do one and when am I supposed to do the other, and that internal struggle of should I be learning more, should I be doing more chesed, what the right balance is. And I'm not suggesting I know what the right balance is, and one should ask the proper authorities what the right balance is. Rav Pam says an amazing thing. Rav Pam, he begins by talking about the godless of Chesed and how every person has to do it, and the Sfarim talk about the way the Sfarim talk about when a person does Chesed, that it doesn't just affect him, and it doesn't just give him olam haba, and it doesn't just bring him to the next world and give him schar, but when a person does Chesed, it makes him like a new person. It makes him fresh. And it also, Lamaisa, affects the whole world, and it affects his children and his grandchildren. So Rav Pam says, with regards to the issue that we started with regards to doing chesed and being kovei itim and keeping our sedarim, Rav Pam says an amazing thing. And Rav Pam says that in our everyday life, that sitting in the Beis Medrash and learning, that we can do gemilas chasadim, and we can do acts of chesed just by sitting in the Beis Medrash and just by learning with a random guy for 10 minutes, or just by picking up an extra chavrusa because you think a guy needs to learn more, or because a guy wants to learn with you dafka. He says that in and of itself is a tremendous chesed, and we have no idea how much it affects a person. And besides for that, we know just a simple shalom aleichem to a person, a simple how are you, a simple how's everything going. We have no idea how it affects a person, and the way it affects a person's day, and the way the person looks. And Rav Pam talks about it really in three ways. He talks about it in listening to people, in speaking to people, and gemilas chasadim through Torah. So with regards to listening to people, so we all know that sometimes we just want to be heard. Sometimes we just want to tell a person what's really going on inside of us, and I don't even need you to say anything. I just need you to listen to me. And sometimes just listening to a person is the greatest chesed a person can have. So that's one way that we can be, we can do chesed, and we can be osek in the avoda of chesed, even through our sedarim, and even while sitting in the Beis Medrash all day. And another way is just to talk to a person, and just to smile at a person, and just to try to make a person's day a brighter day, and just to make a person feel a little better than he's feeling now. It's a tremendous chesed that goes a tremendous way. And Pam tells a Maisa, he tells a story that the Chafetz Chaim was on a train. He was with the Bala Gola. He was on the wagon with the rider, and the Chafetz Chaim was sitting there learning through the night. And like to him, the learning was the most geschmack thing in the world. And to the Bala Gola, it was very difficult and very tedious. And like, okay, when are we going to get there already? He's just waiting to get there, and the whole thing is like, okay, when are we going to get to the destination where I drop off the Chafetz Chaim, and then I can go to sleep. I don't have to sit here on the wagon all night. They drove through the whole night. So after a while, the Chafetz Chaim realized it was very difficult for him, and he had enough. So the Chafetz Chaim says to the guy, he says, why don't we learn a little bit? We'll learn a little bit together. So the guy turns to the Chafetz Chaim and says, I don't even know how to learn inside a Sefer. Forget about learning outside a Sefer. I don't know how to learn Bechlal. So the Chafetz Chaim says, it's okay. I'll read, and we'll learn together, and I'll translate, and I'll help you out. So he started learning Mishnayos, and the Chafetz Chaim was reading them off Baal Peh. And as time went on, he would read it, and then he would translate it, and then they would speak it out. And by the end of the night, they learned a bunch of Mishnayos together, and the Chafetz Chaim felt great about it. And this guy obviously felt like the greatest thing in the world. He just learned Torah with the Chafetz Chaim. There's nothing greater than one could do, I imagine. So we see from a Maisa like this that Stam, just talking to a person, learning with a person, when a person's down or a person doesn't want to do anything, it changes the way a person feels about himself. It changes the way a person thinks. And in general, Chesed also affects us, meaning when I do something to help someone else, there's no greater feeling in the world. Like Rav Dessler says, that the shorish of love, of ava, is hav. And we know that the word hav means to give. And we say that when a person gives to another person, there's no greater sense of accomplishment and feeling of reward that the person has within himself. Forget about the person that you do it for. But when you do something for another person, you feel good. And sometimes even when we don't want to do something, and we do it because we know it's right for another person, for our parents, for our brothers, for our sisters, for whoever it is that it may be, even when it's the worst thing in the world and it's boring, when we're done and we see that person is really happy with it and they feel good about it, so it makes us feel good about it too. And Yishol Salanter, he says an amazing thing. He says, Rabbi Yishol Salanter wants to ask his Talmidim to define what the word Chesed in and of itself means. And they all gave their explanation. And the Chafetz Chaim, I apologize, and Rabbi Yishol Salanter wasn't happy with any of their explanations. And then he gave his own explanation of what Chesed really means and what it means to fulfill the obligation of Chesed. He says when we do Chesed, the goal is to really just fulfill the need of the person and the thing that we are trying to do, meaning that if a person needs, for all intents and purposes, let's say a glass of water, so my avoda would be of Chesed, to fulfill that need is to get that person his glass of water. And Rabbi Yishol Salanter says that sometimes we think that I just look ridiculous doing it, and I have to go through such measures to do it, and it's so ridiculous. He says that's really Chesed. When it makes no difference how I look or how foolish it seems, the act that I'm doing, but the other person feels good from it, so that's all that matters. Sometimes it's just so ridiculous to me to do a certain thing, or like, it always comes back to my city, Patch Adams, like a Rebbe of Patch, that he put on that nose just to go into the hospital and make the kids feel like the greatest thing in the world, when like obviously everyone knows that it's a ridiculous thing, but Lamai said the same thing Rabbi Yishol Salanter saying, that sometimes we have to look ridiculous, and that's what it takes to get to the crux of being a Baal Chesed. And and that's the idea that we wanted to share, and hopefully we'll be able to grow from it, and we'll be able to help each other and be mechazik each other, and be able to brighten each other's days. Sometimes just a simple phone call, just a simple hi, a simple email, a hi, how are you, a picture, just to get together, like Rav Judah was saying last week, to get together with chaverim and break bread and be together one another. And I guess that's hopefully we'll grow together from that, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us. Shabbos should be amazing, and we should continue to help each other and grow together. And thank you again to everyone, and I hope that this goes over great. And until the next time we meet again, Shabbos, good Shabbos.
So good. If you get a bagel and cheese.